Good evening, viewers, subscribers. This is Geo TV, and if you like our channel, please subscribe. If you like what you hear, please share it and hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Today we will discuss Iran and what's going to happen there. We're also going to discuss what it means to Pakistan. Okay. Now, before we go into Iran in a long way, let me give you a recap. We just had a bomb blast in Islamabad. It was attributed to TTP. At least 31 people were killed, 169 injured in the suicide bombing. It was Air Asia Imam Barga, and the culprits are TTP. Very sophisticated direct attack. Just for reminding, we have short memory. Just about 3-4 days ago, a coordinated attack across 10 locations in Balochistan occurred by the BLA. Now, something to remember, in Bannu, Pakistani forces and along the border are subject to a lot of drone attacks. Some of them are Indian raw, funds and training from India, but overwhelmingly of them are Shahid drones, which are made by Iran. There seems to be a nexus, as you can see from the graph I'm showing you, from the drawing on the board. Now, why the timing of these attacks at this stage? There is probably a stage being set for India to take action against Pakistan after its humiliation last May. Indians went from geopolitically wah all the top to absolute underground zero. Nobody is giving them any lift, as they call it, importance. All importance is moving towards Pakistan. Now let's move a little bit into where Iran fits into this whole picture right now. Okay. Iran is situated between Middle East, Pakistan, Central Asia, and among its big neighbors is Turkey, Iraq, Pakistan. Remember, Israel is not its neighbor. Now, the other part is talking with America's moving all its ships and guns right next to Iran. Well, let's take a look at what those are. USA has over 5,000 troops in UAE, in 13,000 in Qatar, which is their CENTCOM. Saudi Arabia, 3,000. Bahrain has 7,000. Kuwait has 13,000. Northern Iraq has 6,000, and there are some in Syria over 3,000. So you're talking 40 to 45,000 US troops surrounding the Iran. In addition to, if you take a look at the map which we had previously, you will look at the Gulf of Hormuz, that circle in the bottom. That controls almost 20% of the oil in the world. About 20 million barrels per day go across that. And overwhelmingly, that goes to China, our friends. Now let's talk about what is Iran going to do and what is its vision? How does it think it's going to fight this war? Anyway, Iran believes that it can overcome the world's most powerful military and by holding the global economy to ransom. Now, remember, global economy to ransom circles around the fact that they think they can shut down the Gulf of Hormuz. And here I'd like to remind you that Pakistan is a pivot state both for China and USA. And we have a defense treaty with Saudi Arabia neither of them wants the Straits of Hormuz to be closed. There was a detailed battle plan published by Tasneem, a news agency affiliated with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, IRGC. Iran leadership, they envision they're going to strike US bases, as I outlined earlier, and hopefully cause a lot of casualties. And they think their allies will open up fronts in Lebanon, as well as inside Israel, Hamas. They believe Houthis are also going to help them, and the Shia militias in Iraq also going to help them. Now, whether that really happens or not happens, but that's the threat. Now, what are the US most likely going to do? US forces will likely launch attacks from aircraft carriers, which is USS Abraham Lincoln, which is in the Indian Ocean, actually in the Arabian Sea, just outside the Gulf of Hormuz, Straits of Hormuz. It has a whole strike group. Then they have strategic bombers flying from European Diego Garcia in the US, and possibly land-based systems in allied countries also. This also includes F-35s at a major air base in Jordan from which they will strike. Now, some of the things I've been saying that, this is going to happen very quickly, but let me quote to you a former MI6 chief, Sir Richard Dearlove, and he's saying that the possibility of the attack is reasonably high, and the reason is because Israelis want Trump to attack. And Israelis have a lot of influence over Trump. Now, this all attack will occur. Stealth aircraft, precision munitions, coordinated salvos, overwhelm Iranian air defenses while minimizing aircraft losses. Technological advances in hypersonic weapons, electronic warfare give US a significant edge. Now, does US need an edge? Iran doesn't have an air force worth saying. So basically, in the air, all they have to do is they'll use some ground-to-air missiles, and if they can sustain it, and the Americans are going to take them out. So as soon as they light up their radar, the missiles go from the US directly to those sites, and they're gone in history. Just like the Pakistanis destroyed the S-400 during the last conflict with India, using our signal homing missiles fired from the JF-17 Thunder. Similarly, US got far more sophisticated weapons like that. So they will take them out. Now, the way the Iranians think they're doing it, they're hardening all that, their infrastructure, the ground-to-air missiles, disposing critical assets, building redundant command structures, and developing extensive underground facilities to survive. And then Israelis have bunker-busting bombs. So we'll see what happens. Iran says to prevent damage, so then they can send their salvos into Israel and kill Americans. Now, where are they going to be attacking? In addition to Tel Aviv, Israel, I think these are the bases where they will attack. Stage 1 was the American attack. Now, the stage 2 will be the Iranian attack. The Iranian response immediately expand the battlefield beyond its border. Within hours, Tehran with barrages of ballistic missile drones, the US main installations. The plan, that's what they're going to do. All those bases I'm outlining for you, they're going to be attacked. The main is Al-Udeid base in Qatar. In Kuwait, the Al-Salam air base hit an Al-Assad air base in Iraq. And the Iranian envisages overwhelming US defenses through volume. Whether that happens or not, but their aircraft are going to be flying also, sorties over Iran. Iran has in its arsenal Shahid 136 drones. That's a type 136, not quantity. They have thousands of them. 50 kg payload. Then they've got Khyber Shikhar ballistic missiles, maneuverable warhead, the missile defense, Imad ballistic missiles with 750 kg, which is pretty big payload, and Pawah cruise missiles were a range of about 1,000 miles. Now, the last time when that attack occurred, Iran had left still about 1,000 ballistic missiles. Now, I wonder how many more they had done. Just to remind you, Iran does not produce fuel for rockets. It mostly imports it from China. So depending how much they've imported and how much they have had, see what their arsenal looks like this time. It has significant challenges for Iran. Israel recently, military operations have severely degraded Hezbollah and Hamas capabilities. The assumption these groups will immediately coordinate effective attacks, simultaneously defending against Israel, U.S. countermeasures seem optimistic. So I don't think these guys are going to end up with anything. Let's take a look at what that means. If you look at Israel is just a little bit over here, but Iran is over here on the right-hand side over here. And there's a long ways to go for Iran to hit Israel and all over the place. They have all these areas are within their range. Anyway. Now let's go back to the other map. Iran will try to overwhelm American bases, Israeli over bases, and the Americans and the Israelis have really upped the Patriot missiles and THAAD anti-missile batteries. So they would be more likely to shoot a lot of them down. And I think it'd just be a case of whether Iran can rejuvenate those in time. But since they do not have the fuel production capability, I think it'll be limited in how much they can do over a longer period of time. If the American attack goes beyond 2 or 3 weeks, I think Iran will run out of options. Now, this time, there will also be a cyber warfare where Iran will try and attack the people around with cyber attacks and disable their facilities like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Syria, possibly in Turkey, possibly even Pakistan. With the recent attacks in Balochistan and other ones, I also envision that they will also hit Pakistan too. Hopefully, I hope not, but they will. Americans will definitely hit Afghanistan. Israelis will hit Afghanistan with cyber attacks, and it'll be pretty bad. Recently, the Israelis were able to get on Iranian television and put the Shah of Iran's son up there saying he's coming, and I think that's what unnerved a lot of people. Now we're getting down to the crux of the issue. Iran thinks if it can stop oil from the Gulf of Hormuz, then that will basically blackmail the world and the US and Europe and Arabia and the rest and China into stopping the war. In short, the cost of the war would be America would not sustain it. But I think the cost to the Americans is not that much. It's cost to Saudi Arabia. It costs to China. How would you like to be a Pakistani in week 2 when you don't get oil, you don't get diesel, you don't get LPG? I mean, you're really scraping the bottom. So I think the tolerance for lack of action is going to go away. And if they try and stop it, let's take a look at how will they stop oil from the Gulf of Hormuz. They have to go over there and take tankers. Now, if they go and take over Saudi tankers, would that not be an attack on Saudi Arabia? Would Saudi Arabia activate its defense treaty with Pakistan? Would American warships stay there and do nothing? I think it's a big, it's something which I don't think Iranians want to do. And it's not in the interest of the Saudis, the Iranians, especially not China. China's industry grinds to a halt. So they're not going to be very tolerant on that issue. So the whole world will turn on Iran because they're trying to blackmail everybody. Now let's see where that goes from there. Now let's talk about the end game. If this time the Israel and the Americans go for it, do you think they will settle for the present regime to stay there? Now, the only way the present regime can stay there if they agree no enrichment. They allow on-the-spot inspectors coming from any country, mostly Americans and Israelis, to inspect and make sure there's no such thing. Secondly, no missiles. Thirdly, end through the surrogate warfare like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Shiite militia, the support of the BLA, the support of the TTP, and TTP attacks into Central Asia. They have to cut that stuff out. Whether they can do it or it's in their DNA, that's another issue. But whatever is going to be happening, it will be done verifiably. No such thing, oh yes, we trust you. No, it's going to be verified. There'll be inspectors. They'll be going down there and taking out those facilities, including all the bases where BLA uses and the TTP guys are being funded by, our great neighbor, India. Now, let me give you some. Iran considers oil as the most potent weapon, especially its control over the northern parts of Gulf of Hormuz, which is approximately 21 million barrels passed daily, roughly 21% of the global production. This waterway is just 24 miles wide at the narrowest, one of the most critical energy choke points. Iran has repeatedly threatened to close the straits. This could involve mining the highway, attacking tankers, missiles, drones, and potentially sinking weapons to block shipping channels. Now, most people, they'll be expecting it and they'll go around this issue. So as opposed to sinking tankers and stuff, they just took over 2 tankers. I don't know where they are, but I am sure the Americans are watching it very carefully. Iran thinks by shutting the Strait of Hormuz, they'll fracture the international coalition. You mean the Europeans, the neighbors, the Americans will say, okay, now you have 8, 9 bombs worth of uranium. Okay, we are blackmailed and you can have 100, 200 in about 5 years from now. I don't think so. I think there's no negotiation on that issue with the Europeans or the Americans or the Saudis or even Chinese don't like to have these guys running around with nukes. And if they cause some disruption, there definitely would be an effect on oil prices, probably going up to about 200. Maybe not. I think definitely would be some effect. How quickly Americans and their allies move to alleviate that, the Gulf of Hormuz, would be a big point to remember. Now, this also carries a risk. Obviously, whenever this occurs, it's also going to take out the Iranian economy, which is already reeling, and I think they're just going to go in a free fall. The war is going to put them in free fall, the Iranians. Okay. Endgame. Iran's endgame is that the allies and the rest will get blackmailed on the economic issue and they will call it quits. However, threatening global supplies, I think the world will move in a fashion so that Iranians cannot do that again. And for that, I would like to bring to the forefront another map I normally share a lot. And just to let you know that the Persian-speaking area is very around Tehran, and out of the 90 million, only 50 million are Persian-speaking. The rest are non-Persian-speaking people. So you're looking, if an American campaign gets extended, which reports are that they might, Israel also wants that, you may look at balkanization of Iran. And I think you may look at warlordism also there, just like in Libya. There are people who would say this will cause instability, but I'll say this. Americans and Israelis are not looking to stabilize Iran. The era of stability is gone. If you have the force, you'll stay and you can be stable. If you don't have it, welcome to instability. And that's what is the whole game. Now, the latest report is that talks are done and the Iranians saying, oh, we had progress. But I think from the American side and Israeli side are saying they're not making any headway. So they might be moving towards a strike. Now, in this, as I said, Israel is an outlier. If they see Americans moving away from it, they're going to move in and attack. And Iranians want American assurance Israel will not attack. But I don't think the Israelis are going to wait for it. They have basically a situation where the global world cannot accept them having nukes, having missiles, and creating havoc with asymmetric warfare in all their neighboring countries, including Muslim countries. And people are pretty fed up with that. So with that, I leave it to you. If you like what I see, please share it, subscribe. If you don't like what I've said or what I've projected, wait and see. It'll all come out in the next month and a half, 2 months. Thank you. Good night and goodbye.